congratulations on the new edition of The Anatomy of Love.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you.
So 1992, I was putting together my dissertation proposal, and I wanted to study the chemistry of love and bonding.
Well, you know, romantic love is like a sleeping cat. It can be awakened at any minute. And even after many years of marriage, all of a sudden you walk into your kitchen at a party and your husband's kissing somebody else, and boom, all of a sudden you're going to be not only jealous, but in love with them again. I mean, it's there. You just have to trigger it. And now that we know more about the brain, we know how to trigger it. I mean, do novel things together. Novelty drives up the dopamine system in the brain and can push you over that threshold into creating or sustaining feelings of intense romantic love.
So what happens if somebody falls in love with somebody else? So they have been in love with this person, but now they happen to fall in love, you know, by circumstance or whatever.
With somebody else?
With somebody else. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are not in love with that other person. We just can't be in love with two people at the same time.
You can feel deeply attached to two people at the same time, but not in intense romantic love. I mean, basically one of the main, there's a lot of specific characteristics of romantic love, and one of them is that it's focused on one person. And that's why it evolved. You know, the sex drive evolved to get you out there looking for a whole range of partners. You can have sex with somebody you're not in love with. Romantic love evolved to enable you to focus your mating energy on just one at a time and start that mating process. And this third brain system of attachment evolved to enable you to stick with them at least long enough to raise a child through infancy as a team. So it's there. It's lying in your brain. It's an issue of you want to see if you can focus it on the right person at the right time.
Exactly. Well, so I think that for couples, you know, that want to try to reconcile, like they know they lost their mind temporarily, that attachment bond is pretty powerful and can bring them back.
Yes.
But they still have to go through that torture of letting go of this other one that they've just fallen in love with because of the addiction process.
Absolutely.
And
So would you say that
It is
they
an
could
addiction.
fall back in love again? Because that I tell people that, and they don't often believe me. So
I think it's going to depend. If your partner's turned into an alcoholic and is a gambler and spent all the money and is abusive to your children and is too lazy to, you know, it's not going to work. But if you just basically are bored, but you respect the person, you trust the person, you like the person, they make enough time for you, they make you laugh, and sex is just fine. It's just not that early racing thrill. Yes, I definitely do think that you can trigger the, you know, novelty, you know, and it's not just swinging from chandeliers. I mean, get on your bicycles and go to a different restaurant on Friday night. You know, go to the airport and pick a place you've never been to. This is why people are so romantic on vacations, because the novelty of the vacation spot has driven up the dopamine system, and all of a sudden they're feeling this relaxed, romantic. And once you drive up the dopamine system and trigger romantic love, that triggers the testosterone system and the sex drive. So you can have a little snowball effect. And the reverse can be true. If you have sex with somebody regularly, that can drive, you know, any stimulation of the genitals can drive up the dopamine system and push you over that threshold into falling in love. So I basically think you should have sex 2 to 3 times a week. What would you say?
Every 3 days.
Every 3 days.
There's a shelf life for oxytocin release. That's what I say. And they did it. There's a shelf life for oxytocin release, and it's about 3 days. And that's why women, you know, they really enjoy it. Then they relax, and then they're like, oh, I think I need it again. But men, there was an interesting study about their heart attack rates. And men who had sex more frequently, their blood pressure went down, their hearts functioned better. So every 3 days seemed to work for them too. So believe it or not, we can all get in sync.
Yeah, it's. I do a national study with Match.com called Singles in America. We poll the American population, not the Match population. And I asked this past year, you know, what is the right number of times to have sex a week? Both men and women said 2 to 3 times. Both men and women, men as well as women. And, you know, it can boost all 3 systems. You have sex, it's going to drive up the testosterone system, so you're going to want more sex. It can help you feel feelings of romantic love, and then with, you know, feelings of real attachment. But it's apparently also very good for the immune system. It reduces cholesterol, it reduces cortisol, your bladder, your heart, your lungs, and for God's sakes, your sense of humor, because all kinds of things can happen that could be rather funny.
That's right. That's right. Helen, it's wonderful talking today, and keep going out and talking to people, sharing your research. Keep researching, don't stop.
Thank you.